Hi, I'm Dr. Adil. I did my MBBS from MGM Medical College Indore and I passed out somewhere around 2020. Recently I took my PLAB 1 and I cleared it, and I also took my PLAB 2 and I'm still waiting for the results to come out. So I wanted to actually discuss how I was able to pass PLAB 1 with just 3 months of preparation. That's all I took, is 3 months. So the PLAB 1 also now is going to be renamed as the UKMLA. I took in August of 2023 and I got my results 1 month later, somewhere in mid-September 2023. There are 3 main sources which I use, which I think everyone needs to do. First one is going to be PLABABLE question bank. The PLABABLE question bank is the perfect source for everything related to PLAB 1. They have around 3,000 questions divided into over 30 small subjects, and I was able to do the whole thing once completely and then half of the whole question bank again. So I did the whole thing 1.5 times in a period of 3 months. The only source is PLABABLE. No peeking, no looking at anything else, no looking at other sources. Just stick to the one thing, and PLABABLE has a very simple, clean layout which makes it very easy and friendly to use. So it's not intimidating. It doesn't make you nervous while you're studying. Okay, to be honest with you, we all sit down and make a whole plan, and I'll show you a photo of when I sat down 100 days before the exam and made a whole list, like 100 days of studying. As you could tell, I never kept track of it after I made that, but it still helped me get into the right mindset to study for the remaining period of time. So what I would say is, you start off with the question bank. Start with 50 questions per day. Study them wherever you like, however you like. I used my laptop. I don't really use my phone a lot. I took my laptop to the local library, which was free of cost. It was a very beautiful library here in Saudi Arabia. I went there every day, packed my lunchbox, studied in the morning, had my lunch, studied a little bit in the afternoon, came back by evening time. I would solve 50 questions and I would pick the subject I was weakest in, whichever one I thought was weakest, whichever one I thought had a lot more questions to deal with. I would finish a block of 50 questions and then start solving them throughout the day. That's how in a period of maybe 2 months I was able to finish the whole thing, and then I had the last month left to do the remaining half. And you can speed it up as you go. You start off with 50 questions a day, but over a few weeks you realize that it's a little slow for you, and you can pick up your pace to maybe 70, 80 or even 100 questions a day, especially around the end, closer to the exam. And you will need to take 1 day off per week for rest. Don't overdo it, don't overthink it. Take 1 day off. Everyone does, whoever is working. This is your work when you're studying for the exam. So just take 1 day off. And naturally you're going to get questions wrong, and your job is to figure out why you got it wrong and what source of information was missing here that you needed to know in order to answer it correctly. And what I would do there is, if it was something that made sense, it made sense. But if I felt that there was something that needed to be in my memory, something that I was going to forget, that's when I would bring out a flashcard. So I don't have my deck of flashcards with me. I made about 250 flashcards by the end of my study period. So basically all I did was be very thoughtful and very careful. When constructing my flashcard, I needed to know exactly what piece of information I didn't have in my head. I would make a flashcard out of it. There was no set rule on how many flashcards I'm going to make. Just go with your gut feeling. At worst, you happen to do the question again and you get it wrong again. Now that's your cue. You know that this is something that you were struggling with, and you simply go ahead and finally make a flashcard on and practice those. So by the end, I had a nice deck of 250 flashcards that were made by myself, all neatly written with the subject they were from or where they were collected from. And I would just carry them in my pocket. I would go outside for a walk for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours, take out the deck of cards and start practicing the questions. I would read the cue that I've given myself. For example, what is the treatment for simple UTI, complicated UTI, atypical UTI? I would just rehearse the answers with myself before flipping the page over, where I have written the answers in a very neat format. So when you flip over, then you have all the answers. And if you miss out on something, you'll be able to tell what you missed out on, and then that helps you memorize better. And that's it, just keep going through the cards. Again, no set number on how many cards I'm going to do every day. Just do as many as I felt like, I was challenging myself and that I had learned something new or I had worked on something that was previously missing. And the last is going to be mock exams or practice exams. You will need to know how you're doing somewhere throughout your whole process, and you can't let the exam be the one telling you how you did. So the mock exams really help you. Now, again, PLABABLE luckily has had a whole set of their own mock exams that they release every few months or maybe once a year. So they have more than 20 mock exams by now that you can purchase for about £20-25 each. So what I did was in my 3-month study period, I took my first mock after 1 month of studying. I didn't look at any mock before it. I took the mock, did horribly at it, realized I needed to study a little bit more, but then I waited to take the second mock somewhere again after the 2nd month of studying. That was a big improvement, and now I was in my last month of studying. Here what you do is you have 4 weeks left, right? Like 4 weeks to the exam. So I took one mock at the end of week 1, I took another mock at the end of week 2, and now I have the last 2 weeks left. So within the last 2 weeks, I'm still going to be doing 2 mocks, but I did it in the last week. So you're saving some more time to make sure that you're studying, and I ended up taking 2 mocks in the last week. One's maybe 1 week before, and the last one 3 days before the exam. I want no surprises just before. So 3 days before the exam, and then all I'm doing is solving the mock, solving all the questions that I got wrong. Now we do have to talk about a whole bunch of other resources that are out there, and I know some people must be wondering what they are and should I be using them or not. For example, there's stuff like the 1700 questions by Dr. Khalid. There's something called past tests as well. They used to make textbooks. I remember seeing my senior read one of them. There's something else called med revisions. Now these are all a lot of materials which do offer services to study for PLAB 1, but I have not used them personally. I have no experience with them. Remember, I told you I didn't peek, I didn't look at anything else. I just picked up PLABABLE, stuck with it from start to finish, didn't look back, and I actually did a pretty decent job on the exam. And so I had my exam on the 10th of August in 2023. I went to Kolkata, where my exam center was, 3-4 days before my exam. So 1 day to settle in, just 2 more days to study, and the last day would be the exam. And I had a very small, tiny hotel room. A lot of people were just chilling, partying around me, and I needed a place to study. I ended up studying at a local Starbucks, just ordering breakfast or ordering 1 coffee and sitting there for the next 5, 6, 7 hours, as long as they would let me, before finally going somewhere else. I did that for the last few days. I took my mock, the last mock, sitting at a Starbucks, put my headphones on, sat in the corner facing the wall, do your thing, and walk out when you're done. I think the last day before the exam, I just took it easy, just going through all of the weak points, by now I already know the flashcards, which I keep doing, I still can't memorize, so I would go back and know exactly which card I was lacking in. I also ended up taking PLABABLE's gems, which are their own flashcards, which are made slightly differently than the ones I was making. So it helped offer some variation. Again, it's not something I used extensively. It was just something that I used in the last week. I don't know if it gave me an extra edge, but it is something I took because I felt like it near the end. That's it. Then the exam day came. I remember it was raining and I took an umbrella, walked to the center. It was very peaceful environment, very straightforward. Took the exam, didn't even know what would happen walking out, which makes you wonder, was it too easy? Was it so hard that you thought it was easy? But either way, I was done with it. A month later, I joined a hospital back in my hometown, and in the induction ceremony, during the induction process, I got my email saying that I had passed, and I scored around 146 out of 180, which is pretty decent, far higher than what I was scoring in my mocks. So don't let the mocks fool you. As long as you're passing the mocks, that's good enough to let you know that you're going to be passing the exam, and which is ultimately what you need at the end of it. You just want to be done with the exam smoothly and as safely as possible. That's it. If you have any more questions, just let me know. I'll try my best to answer them. Probably make a few more of these videos along my journey, and I'll be sharing things with you as I go along.